Hi guys, I'm Andy Wilson, the Sneakonomist, and I'm going to give you a quick recap of another busy week in the sneaker world. We've had bids materialising for Reebok. Wolverine Worldwide have announced some earnings, and they're the parent of a very well-known running shoe. Asics have given us their earnings for the quarter as well, and Adidas and Allbirds have given us the latest detail on their low carbon footprint shoe collaboration. Before I go into any more detail, please make sure that you are fully subscribed to The Sneakonomist on Instagram as well as Full Frame Kicks. And on YouTube, make sure that you have notifications on and are subscribing to the Full Frame Kicks channel so you get all the latest news and views as they drop. So I'm going to start this week with Reebok, a unit that Adidas have been trying to sell now, have earmarked for sale for a number of months. So the New York Post have reported that Authentic Brands, alongside Wolverine Worldwide, have bid just over $1 billion for the unit. This unit was purchased back in 2006 by Adidas, and they paid $3.8 billion for it. And it's been loss-making up until recently, and as I say, it's a division they've been looking to sell. Authentic Brands own such subsidiaries as Airwalk, Tap Out and the shoe brand Nine West, whilst Wolverine Worldwide own the outdoor shoe business Merrell as well as Saucony. There are other people interested as well. Apollo Global, which is a venture capitalist, have apparently made an offer for the business too, but they haven't said how much that they have bid. Whilst Cerberus, which is another venture capitalist, as well as Chinese companies Anta and Li Ning, and South Korea's Fila have all apparently shown some interest. If you are following what I've said previously about this, I do think that a Chinese purchaser does make sense because it will allow them to push the brand into a new geography, and also that Chinese brand could piggyback off the existing footprint that Reebok has in the United States, so they could quite nicely cross-sell. There has been talk that some of the Chinese interest may be waning somewhat after the human rights comments regarding Uyghurs and the mistreatment of Uyghurs in the Xinjiang region, but apparently there is still some interest there. What could Authentic Brands and Wolverine Worldwide bring? Well, they've got existing infrastructure and distribution capabilities. So it's all still up in the air. We're going to hear sometime in the next few weeks who is actually going to be in the running to buy this business, so there's more stuff to come. For me, Reebok, they were associated with CrossFit very successfully. They distanced themselves from CrossFit last year after the chief executive of CrossFit made a rather ill-judged comment on Black Lives Matter on Twitter, and they distanced themselves from that. And obviously one of the highest profile people that they collaborate with is Cardi B. But it's still up for grabs. We're still going to await some more detail, but it's clear that there is at least 2 or 3 people in the running, with some other names to mention as well. So on the subject of Wolverine Worldwide, as I said, they own Saucony as well as Merrell, and they released in the past week their earnings. The shares fell 13% despite them raising their full year guidance on the back of a strong Q1. So they said that Q1 Saucony sales were up 60%, whilst Merrell were up 25%. Both of these categories, if you like, have been very popular during COVID. So you've got running with people going out and exercising around the streets with gyms being closed, and outdoor demand as people go for walking, again just trying to keep fit when it comes to fighting off COVID and boredom. E-commerce growth was up 84%, and that's on the back of their digital content and storytelling online to promote sales of their products. A larger wholesale portion for this business than you might see in the likes of Nike and Adidas. They're saying their wholesale order book is very strong, and with major brands like Nike and Adidas pulling back on some of their wholesale interactions, it's freed up some shelf space for the likes of Saucony, Merrells, etc. to be able to get their shoes on the shelves. We've talked a lot about inventories of late. Remember, if you have too much inventory, you have to cut prices to sell it. If you don't have enough inventory, people want to buy your stuff and you haven't got it, so it's missed sales. Their core inventories were down 21% year on year in Q1. Now, we all know about the supply chain issues that we've talked about a lot with regards to just huge amounts of demand for products being made in China and being shipped over to the Western world, as well as the Suez Canal debacle. Now, we've also talked about businesses looking more at air freight instead of seaborne freight to move stuff around. Now, air freight is multiple times more expensive than shipping stuff on boats. Wolverine particularly commented on air freight, saying that the air freight costs were up, but they are continuing to invest to ensure they can service the strong demand using air freight. So they clearly feel that whilst the Suez Canal thing was temporary, they are clearly seeing some bottlenecks still at the ports and also container shortages, so they're continuing to push there. That's going to hurt their costs. On the running shoe theme, Asics, their shares were up 25% this week in Japan. They boosted their sales forecast for the full year. Q1 sales smashed estimates. Significant increase in running demand. They said that North America, Europe and Greater China were the three main regions that were pushing those sales, but they are still flagging external environmental factors like COVID that are offering up some kind of uncertainty. So they're still a little bit nervous about giving too much of guidance for the full year. And lastly, I'm going to just talk quickly about Adidas Allbirds. So last year, Adidas and Allbirds announced they were going to be doing some collaborations for running shoes. And this week they've unveiled their low carbon footprint shoe. It's called a Future Craft Footprint. And the carbon or the CO2 footprint per pair is 2.94 kilograms of CO2. Now, an average running shoe is 12.5 kilograms. So you're talking 3 versus 12.5. So you're literally looking at about a quarter of the carbon footprint. The upper's made of 70% of recycled polyester, whilst the other 30% comes from the natural tencel, which is made or derived from wood pulp. Just to give you an idea of how bad sneaker production is for the environment, sneaker production is about 1.4% of global greenhouse gas emissions. That compares to air travel at 2.5%. So whilst it is about half of what air travel is, or just over half, it's still relatively significant. The foams, etc., emit the same amount of CO2 as the equivalent of about 66 million cars. So there's lots that we can all be doing, particularly these big pushes towards more sustainably sourced materials, and just looking after our shoes and not necessarily having to keep buying loads of new shoes. Let's make sure that we're looking after the ones we've got at the moment. How can you get your hands on one of these pairs of the new collaboration? Well, there's going to be 100 pairs are going to be raffled off to Adidas Creators Club members. Later on in 2021, there's going to be 10,000 pairs made available. That's probably about the equivalent of a relatively rare Yeezy 350 drop, if you like. So there's not going to be that many to go around, and there's going to be a wider release in 2022. So lots of exciting things to come there. We're hearing both from Nike and Adidas that they are pushing forward the sustainability, the eco-friendly side of things. And it's really now we've got COVID kind of starting to move out of the way, we can start to concentrate back on these important subjects going forward. That's it from me. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a DM, or you can put them in the comments below, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.